behind you is the good one. But it only happens on every 4 holes.
I told him come story and I said, I said, my younger end, you're right on, it's a lot. I said, you know, it's that's the house.
It's true.
I said, you got it.
Yeah, should have went out to the.
You're right at the end of your power strip and cord.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are on.
Whenever he just wants to start here in about a minute.
What's up? Executive session?
Yeah. Thank you, sir. No. Oh, yeah. Good evening. At 4 p.m., we'll call this executive session to order. At the end of the executive session, we will take a small, short break, and then we'll resume about 5:30 for the general meeting here in the boardroom. So you folks that are out there in Gaga land, if you're paying attention, after the executive session, we will take a short break, and then we'll resume back at 5:30. We have a quorum, so go ahead and shut that down. Is Tosh ready next door? Is Tosh ready next door?
Let's go make sure Sherman got a chance to get back to her office.
There.
Arms ready, Mr. Jones.
I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Reedsport School District, District 105, regular meeting. We have a quorum. Would everybody please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, welcome, everybody. Holy moly, it's nice to see all those faces out there. I know you just came for the cookies, didn't you? Especially this one right here in the middle, right at the front. Yeah, Okay. Any changes to the agenda? I don't think so, is there? No. Okay, great. Well, to the best part of the whole meeting while we're here, accolades, superintendent awards presentation.
Yeah, this is the opportunity that we get once a month to celebrate the students in our schools who are doing great things and to recognize that they've got families behind them helping them be the great students that they are. So we have a carryover from an October meeting. Our November meeting was at noon, was during the school day. So there's some November winners here tonight, and we've got our December winners. So a longer list than normal, but that's okay. It's the time of year to celebrate this stuff. So I will call teachers up, and the student will come up with their teacher, Mrs. Dean and Joshua Starnes.
Okay, to the family of Joshua Starnes, it is my honor to nominate Joshua Starnes for the month of December Superintendent Award. Josh is a wonderful student. He is hardworking, motivated, and is a leader to his peers. He shows kindness to all and gives his best effort in all that he does. Despite having some hearing loss, Joshua has persevered in kindergarten and continues to thrive in academics and social behavior with his peers and teachers. His loss of hearing in one of his ears has not held him back from learning and excelling in the classroom. He is performing very high amongst his peers and meets challenges head on. When things get a little tough, he will be the first to dry his eyes and keep pushing through with a little encouragement. I really admire Joshua's persistence to learn, grow, and work through his hardships. Joshua gets along well with his peers and is an exemplary classroom citizen. He is kind and helpful to everyone. Oftentimes, Josh will finish a task early and will continue to help others complete their work. He is always ready to learn when we are doing group learning and sets an example for his peers. Joshua takes pride in a tidy workspace and he helps his peers keep up a neat classroom. Joshua is a responsible student. He loves being first to line up, engage in classroom activities, and is a very eager learner. Josh is also a very well-mannered kindergarten student. He always has a thank you. Because of all of these qualities, I know Joshua will soar in school for years to come. I am excited for his journey ahead and am looking forward to seeing all of his future successes in his academic journey. Thank you, Starnes family, for raising Joshua to start school with all of his amazing qualities that have led him here today. I am such a proud teacher and I'm so lucky he's in our classroom to lead, achieve, persevere, maintain a positive attitude, show kindness, sharing, and empathy toward others. Congratulations, Joshua Starnes.
All that letter means you could win a mile award. I'm sure you can. You did a great job. Good work, okay?
Want to make sure and say thank you. Josh, want to make sure we spend the award. Stand up there with your teacher. Perfect. Thank you so much. Good job, buddy.
Our next award winner, and by the way, the theme of the school district today was ugly sweater, so normally I don't do this, but today I am. Ryder Curley and his teacher, Mrs. Kaufman. Hi, Ryder. Glad you're here, buddy. Thank you.
Okay. The family of Ryder Curley. I am happy to recognize Ryder Curley for the Superintendent Award for first grade in Mrs. Coffin's class in the 2023 and 24 school year. Ryder is a kind and gentle person. He is sensitive to people around him. Ryder can tell when people need help. He is not afraid to step in and assist others. His sensitivity is what draws many students to want to be around him. The things he says are reassuring, and he has a kind-hearted answer to people who share their concerns with him. When people need it, he generously shares what he has or sits next to them and helps them figure out their schoolwork. He will make sure no one is left out. Ryder is always polite to teachers and staff. He is also polite to the students around him. He helps people find their place in their reading books or will rewrite a word for a neighbor at his table. How grateful they are to Ryder for his selflessness. When Ryder is absent, our class does not emanate that same sparkle as when he is with us. I would like to make sure Ryder and his family know the reason he sits next to me in class is not because I need to keep an eye on his behavior. It is quite the opposite. His behavior towards me and others brings me such joy as he shows a high level of compassion and empathy and understanding. Without kindness, life as we know it would be very different. Similarly, without Ryder in our class as we know it would be very different. Part of the wonderful class we have is due to the fact that we have Ryder and his example to all of us. Thank you, Ryder, for being the person you are.
This award. You've done a great job. You keep it up, okay? And families, we'll do one big picture at the end, so you'll stick around until all these awards are done. Mrs. Schaefer. Stacy Schaefer is the teacher for Hagen Lee.
Actually, I get to see Hagen on the campus a lot. I don't have the honor of working with him. And that just makes this award even more special because his exemplary behavior stands out above all the kids that I get to watch. We have many magnificent students. And Hagen is a leader. He will go around the, I should read the letter. Okay. To the family of Hagen Lee. I'm honored to present Hagen Allen Lee with the Superintendent's Award. Every time I see Hagen, he's smiling, helpful, and engaging. He's able to hold a conversation with classmates and adults alike. Hagen goes above and beyond to help make our school a better place. At recess, Hagen cleans up trash and equipment off the playground without anyone asking for assistance, and he helps other students without a personal motive. I don't see Hagen often in the week as I'm not his classroom teacher. However, I notice his kind nature and his tendency to go out of his way to help others. He helps his mom, he helps me, he'll help anybody that needs it. He'll even go offer help, go out of his way to help others. His kindness and his helpful, happy nature speaks volumes and serve as a model to fellow classmates despite his quiet nature. His teacher tells me that Hagen is a joy to have in class. He always does his best, and he exemplifies the qualities that we hope to see in our students. Hagen stands out above the rest. Thank you for all you do to make Highland Elementary School a better place to be, and thank you to your family. Did I embarrass you?
It's not embarrassing. Brogan Manikey and his teacher, Miss Rodriguez.
To the family of Brogan Manikey, it is my pleasure to award my Superintendent Award for 2023 and 2024 school year to Brogan. I have had the privilege to be Brogan's teacher for the past 2 school years. Within those years, I have seen him grow in many ways. Brogan loves a challenge, and that is part of what makes him an amazing student. Just from this year to last year, I have seen a difference in his drive to be the best he can be. He takes the initiative to do more in various subjects and has even stepped up to help teach those skills to others. Brogan turns in every assignment, whether it is due or not, and takes the time to make sure his work is correct. Besides being a great student, he is also an amazing classmate. He is the perfect definition of work hard, but play harder. He brings a lot of energy and entertainment to the classroom. I know some days he is driving us all crazy, but at the same time, those are usually the days we all could use a little laughter. I appreciate his leadership and willingness to take anyone who needs someone under his wing. He is kind and patient and gives those who want his attention just that. This year, he has learned to forgive and forget and be the bigger person on and off the playing field. Brogan has a bright future ahead of him and has all the skills he needs to be successful with any dream he chases. Thank you for being an amazing classmate and student these last few years.
What do you think of that letter?
Are you hearing?
What do you think of that letter? It's some cool stuff, huh?
Good job.
Mrs. Walls has Taylor Sales.
I see, I wore my sweater. I asked Taylor if I would embarrass her too much. But my sweater, she said I had to wear it, so yeah, it worked out. So before I read the letter, I want to say to Taylor's family, thank you for raising a kiddo who is just so open to everyone and is so good at looking at things from different perspectives and an absolute amazing friend to anybody who walks through our doors. Okay. To the family of Taylor Sales, I'm so excited to be writing this letter announcing Taylor as the winner of my Superintendent's Award for this year. Taylor entered my classroom this fall as a true leader from day one. Taylor comes into our classroom every day with a go-getter attitude. She's extremely motivated to learn and do her best. I love to see her face a challenge. She looks at problems from different perspectives and always tries to find the most logical route to an answer. She'll often analyze any wrong answers until she absolutely understands what her mistake was, to the point where she remembers every word she gets wrong on any spelling test, which has only been like 2 or 3 words all year. She faces these challenges without letting it discourage her. There's nothing that makes me happier than seeing Taylor's aha moments. When she comes across a problem she can't figure out, she doesn't give up until it's solved. Oftentimes facing these challenges with laughter and a smile. She fully understands that if she keeps trying, she'll be able to come to a solution. Outside of herself, Taylor's an excellent leader in our classroom. She has a very unique way of encouraging her classmates to do their best. She's always finding ways to help other students or teach them a skill she has perfected. She also enjoys learning things from other students. She likes to let someone teach her something new. She's a friend to every student in our classroom. Taylor took on an important job in our classroom this year. She's our cleanup manager. And it's a tough job because they're 6th graders, right? And so she's in charge of helping students to make sure their space is clean at the end of the day. She always approaches them in the most kind and effective way to help encourage them to take care of their own space and our classroom. Her leadership skills are extremely strong, and I know that Taylor will accomplish anything she decides to go after in life. Taylor inspires me every day to provide instruction that will meet her at her level and challenge her to continue to grow. It's so amazing to have a student in class who has such a strong desire to learn and do her best. I know that she'll be able to tackle anything life throws her way, and I can't wait to see what she accomplishes in life.
She's here.
Oh, yeah. I took care of something.
Okay.
I don't see my finger.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I'm stalling. Alex Martinez is a teacher, Mr. Daly.
Alex is also on here.
Put that on this side. But I did see Alex Dukovich, and he is here with Mr. Francis.
Okay. We've got that one. Okay,
It's easier to read.
and director's cut. Okay. Okay. To the parents and grandparents of Alex Dukovich. Adversity is a state or instance of serious or continued difficulty or misfortune. Resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties by having toughness. Alex has experienced and shown both entering this school year, having a concussion during football season, having to be forced to attend to medical needs, missing weeks of school, and feeling behind can be a challenge for any student. However, Alex maintained communication with me and his other teachers, and he has made great efforts to catch back up and return to class. Alex introduced himself to me on the first day of school, August 28th. My impression of him was that he spoke articulately, thoughtfully, and expressed enthusiasm to learn computer coding. Of course, I felt all too eager too, since this would be my first time teaching a new subject area, which was an elective course and not math. I appreciated his energy for learning, and thus we got started right away. As the weeks and months progressed, Alex has demonstrated creativity with his codes, completing his initials, full first and last name, all 26 letters of the alphabet, and beginning designs, all while using the most primitive of Python commands. Class has evolved to include dioramas of houses and clouds and other scenery, like one you would see in a kindergarten or first grade scenery, with specific criteria. Alex would continue to code and create and ask for less input from me and more from his peers. In fact, Alex and his peers would soon get up from their desks and visit one another and talk about the work and what worked and what didn't work. It became apparent that the class was taking the shape of a student-led workspace where the students would do the rest and I sulked away quietly. My hope in writing this letter and presenting this award is to share Alex's story through my eyes and what a pleasure it's been to have him in my last class of the day. I appreciate his hard work and determination as we continue this journey together to both learn and work towards proficiency of this digital language. It is important to note that while Alex may feel behind and the journey forward be arduous, I believe he possesses the strength to regain his footing. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and drive as you are presented with this achievement.
Yeah, and it's like really pattern. You wrote a little bit more, so there's.
There's obviously in computer science as well.
There's a theme there. And Carson Spurgeon is here with his teacher, Mrs. Gunn.
To the family of Carson Spurgeon, time sure does fly. I remember when Carson first came into my English class as a 7th grader at our CCS. He was intelligent, witty, and a little rambunctious, AKA a middle school boy. Since then, I have seen so much growth in Carson. He is still intelligent and witty, and has channeled his rambunctious nature into more productive means. Despite what he might believe about himself, he is an incredibly hard worker, and he has proven himself as a responsible and caring student time and time again. There have been several occasions when I've had to be gone, or I've needed his help in tending to a student, and he's someone I can always count on to do the right thing, whether it be making copies, staying caught up on classwork, or walking a student to the office when they can't make it on their own. I don't have Carson as an English or health student this year, but I do have him as a student aide. That responsibility factor he has is huge when it comes to being a student aide for a teacher. Professionalism is key, punctuality is vital, and integrity is highly appreciated. Whenever he needs to be gone, he informs me ahead of time. When he's here, he's on time at my door waiting for instructions. When I don't have a lot for him to do, he busies himself with work from other classes. On top of his work ethic, I really enjoy Carson as a person. He always greets me with a smile from ear to ear. He asks me how I'm doing, how my day is going, and if he needs to do anything to make it better. It's very rare that I see Carson angry or upset with those around him. That sense of humor is also a great quality. Don't lose it. Mr. and Mrs. Spurgeon, you should be proud of the son you've raised. He's about to go off into the world, and I know that with how you've helped to make him who he is, he will do amazing things. Carson, keep that hardworking nature, keep that positive outlook, and most of all, keep smiling. I can't wait to see where you end up.
I'd like to point out also that each teacher who I invite to give an award, they only get one of these for the entire year. So while there's a lot here tonight, over the course of the year, the teachers only getting one person. They have to really be selective and careful, and we hear why. I looked for themes and kind of what the stories are. I heard a lot of kindness and taking on challenges. So some of the characteristics of our students: kindness, taking on challenges, working hard. We have our examples here tonight. If all students and their teacher would come up real quick, we got to do the group photo. We'll put the high school students in the back. We'll put the younger students in the front. Teachers, you fit in where you need to accordingly.
I think you and I are both in the back.
Which one was the taller here?
Parents are welcome to take photos here too.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna take a few, I'm gonna try and catch you smiling, because your mom likes it when you smile. Thank you very much. Everybody, there are cookies and water on your way out, and they were made lovingly by our office, or our kitchen staff at the elementary school.
And you're welcome to stay.
That's what I thought. I was like, I recognize that sweater.
Alex. Every single one. That's a lucky sweater.
Okay, I was gonna be. Congratulations. I thought I was gonna.
So I think the rest of the state.
There we go. It's,
Ms. Jones, I don't have any
okay. Also, you want to, did you want to say anything about the donation, John?
So, my packet caught up here real quick. Here it is. Okay, the board would like to receive a donation from the boosters. There was an expansion of a huddle service, which is a subscription service for $7,321.92. That involves the equipment, and it is it's the service and the cameras associated with our sports teams and filming of the games and posting them and making them accessible to the teams and the other teams to view and review the contest. So that pays for 1 year, and that's a donation from our Booster Club.
Nice.
And this year, the booster banquet option is April 13th, and that's how we raise money, so we can do all these donations.
April 13th.
Yes, sir. To be a Saturday.
Just a moment.
Just one step, yeah, Gary.
Probably. It's kind of a little bigger, right? Because they'll sell out probably like another. And you said no community comment?
Now, there's no community comment.
All right.
You've got your administrators here and your business department here. As you can,
Pardon?
you have your business department, and you got your administrators now.
All right,
It's
let's
people online.
move right into business manager report.
I'll wait until, in case this conversation's important. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce my assistant business manager, Josh Cook. Hello. You will be
What is he?
seeing my assistant business manager, one of them. He's not mine. He's an assistant business manager that works in my department. You will be seeing Josh more frequently. He has been with us since July. He has been very instrumental in a time when his assistance has been needed most. I have recently been diagnosed with another autoimmune disorder, and so I have some intermittent medical leave that I've had to take, and he has been filling in the gaps with ACEs, and I'm just really, really thrilled for him to be here. So you may see his name from time to time, but you are definitely going to see his face more frequently. He is probably going to be, after the first of the year, moving forward with being on site weekly
to assist with day-to-day operations and answering questions because I don't have the capacity at this time. So if you see him wandering around, he has my full support and my encouragement to be here and answer any questions you guys might have. So.
His name one more time,
Josh Cook.
Josh.
Yep.
And he didn't bring us any gifts in here.
We did. There's a box of candy back in the break room. Brought it, delivered.
That's helping.
Yeah.
That's helping.
It is.
I can take credit for it, but anything.
Okay.
Well, welcome, Josh, and you're gonna have some huge good shoes to fill, following Rachel.
Yes.
Hey,
Good luck.
I've had my big feet made fun of since 4th grade, okay? Like, come on.
We're impressed with the work and service providers.
So as far as the financial reports, we had budget meetings today. We'll continue with a few of them tomorrow morning with department heads, administrators, making sure that we are all on the same page with the budget. We're making adjustments with the grants as we have progressed into the year. Most of those will probably happen after conversations tomorrow with the person who is in charge of most of the grants. So as we make those changes, I've talked about it the last couple of months that it will hopefully relieve some of the burden in our general fund, but I am happy to see that we are trending in the right direction. As you know, we budgeted to end the year around $1 million. We're just over halfway there, a lot different than the number we had last month. So as we continue to make those adjustments and get us back into where we had budgeted to end the year, I think we will all be more comfortable with that. We have seen our allocations for a lot of our grants come in higher this year than expected because of recent updated census data. With our poverty level, well, that isn't good news for the community. It is good news for our funding levels. So as we make those adjustments, those numbers will change, and everything seems to be going in a positive direction. Are there any questions for me on the reports tonight?
When's the audit going to begin? When will the audit start?
So the audit field work has concluded. I have a few punch list items that I'm still working on. We are supposed to get a draft probably next week. And then I will be working through Christmas break to review the 3 audit drafts that I have. And it should be complete in January. I'm not sure, I haven't touched base to see if they're available to present at the January meeting. It may be the February meeting, but we should have the audit document concluded to meet the deadline to get to the state by the end of the calendar year.
Will you still be able to do the training on the 13th?
Yes, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here. I'm just adding,
Okay.
somebody with me. Yes.
I would change the date. Looks like Wednesday the 10th.
Oh,
It would be right before the board meeting.
Yeah.
At 3 o'clock.
Okay.
I won't be there for that one, but I'll be here in time for the regular meeting. Sorry, Rachel.
I mean, I guess I can train you separately.
And we'll get that a little early so we can go over it, right?
Get what a little early.
That report. So there's always questions. By the time I get going through it, you've already gone home.
Are you talking about
Are you talking about the regular financial report?
No, the preview of the audit.
Oh, I don't think we're gonna be previewing the audit for that training.
Oh, no, okay.
That's going over like the financial reports.
Yeah, there was a request for that work session training to just give people kind of a primer refresher before we go into budget season. Bob was new, and so kind of first opportunity for him to talk public fund accounting with Rachel, and so that's going to be the purpose of that work session. And if 3 of you show up as a quorum, so we're calling it a work session, and if you aren't there, I don't know, we'll catch up at it the best we can.
Is it gonna be streamed also?
Yeah, as a work session, we'll turn it on and be public. The only time we didn't was when we walked around schools.
Yeah.
What date was that?
January 10th.
Board meeting. 3:00.
January 10th, 3 o'clock.
As far as the financial reports, I do email those over a week before the board meeting. If you want me to put one in the mail on that same day so that you get it and it doesn't have to exchange hands multiple times, I'd be happy to do that, Mr. Jones. I know how you like paper.
Yes, I do.
Would that be amenable to you or?
That would be wonderful.
Okay,
As long as you don't scold me when I come up with a whole bunch of questions.
never.
Okay.
I welcome the challenge. I will acquire your mailing address from Ms. Tipton and make sure to do that for you. Any other questions for me?
When can we start on looking at doing another bond for our new gymnasium at the grade school?
We can start looking at that in 2 years.
2 years? That's way too long.
I don't make the rules.
Doesn't make it more now. 2 years?
Mhm.
Oh, so kids that need the gym now at the grade school will be graduating college by then.
Well, we cannot have 2 general obligation bond levies at the same time, so we have to be,
Weren't you gonna look into,
I did,
and that can't happen on 2 years, huh?
yes. That is when we can refinance.
Oh, you can refinance?
Yes. It doesn't expire until 2033, I think we determined.
29.
Maybe it was 29.
Yeah.
But 2 years, because we had a certain number of years that we had to stay with our current bond arrangement before we could have the potential to refinance, and we agreed on that number of years.
And with your history and past experience, do you think it's doable? I
To
mean,
refinance?
Yeah.
I think it is. I think that waiting the 2 years would be very wise because the interest rates are really, really bad right now.
Yeah.
And it would not buy us a lot for our dollar to refinance. And get rid of the
So if
bond.
we were to start talking about what we'd like to see in that general obligation bond, like with a committee, we would be safe and maybe start those meetings within, after the 1 year, after, or year before.
I think to start the process a year before would be fine. You just have to be careful not to start, I mean, you can get general ideas now where you want to trend to, but as far as trying to narrow it down to numbers and what the cost is going to be and what you want for your bond dollar amount, I wouldn't start any earlier on narrowing that down than a year out because the prices change so quickly.
Yeah, so when I talked to John on my ideas, it was, yeah, basically just a committee of community members and people that would, that would benefit us and buying into this, and however broad the spectrum will be is what we want to see in that bond for our kids, so.
So I can tell you that trying to keep in mind what you're looking at. I'm working in the district right now that they are just trying to build a bus barn with, I think, 6 bays, just general, couple office spaces, bus barn, bathrooms, nothing fancy, and it's $1.2 million, and that's just for the building. So when you're talking about your bond and the dollar amount that you're willing to spend, you probably want to look at what that's going to do for every 1,000 for the taxpayer, based on top of what we have for our permanent tax rate. Because it will go very quickly. Money doesn't buy much these days, so.
So you're saying, I can put pop up 10, 100-mile-an-hour winds.
I'm saying that a successful bond levy is where you know what your focus and your priorities are, and you communicate that well within your community. And you keep your focus tight so that the dollar amount is very visible in your community. So if you do a lot of infrastructure upgrades or things like that, those are not going to be noticed in the community. So success of those types of bonds right now are not very high. They're needed, but it's not very high. People want visibility. They want to see their dollars go.
Okay. What do you think about the role of grants in this sort of endeavor? Large infrastructure building.
In what manner? What do you mean?
I mean, as a partner to looking to a bond measure, there's other sources of funding available.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that you would encourage us to seek other forms.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if we're going to do a new GO bond levy, we would definitely do an awesome grant application. OSCIM, don't remember what the acronym stands for at this moment, but it's basically a matching grant from the state. And I think that we would be eligible for up to 4 million based on our size. 6, okay. And that would be matching. We would for sure go out for that when you're doing any kind of bond levy. That's a recommendation because that's the only time you can get it. You can only get that matching grant with a successful bond levy. So for sure, that would be a grant that we would go towards. Trying to run a seismic concurrently is also something that they recommend.
Those dollars aren't matching.
No, those are straightforward, but you can kind of transition the dollars back and forth between that and capitalize more if you have the same vendors, the same contractors here on site. So those would be the two off the top of my head. But as far as small grants or fundraising, the dollars that you need to match or support a bond levy requires a lot of legwork. You're going to be doing a ton of marketing and a ton of committees to be able to go out for a successful bond levy.
And is there any rules against, like, say we wrote a grant to Nike, because Lincoln County got $10 million when they redid all the turf fields and stuff. Is there any rules saying we can't do that along with that bond measure? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Was seismic upgraded in the pool building? Did we do a seismic upgrade in the pool building?
We attached the high school to the pool building.
The high
And
school? Elementary.
Highland to the pool building, we've been
Okay.
doing the upgrades in the pool area. So there's some bolts shot through and capped off.
Anybody have anything else for Rachel?
Have a nice day.
Okay, before we get to John, I'm gonna jump off script a little bit and say welcome and building administrators. It's nice seeing your shiny, smiley face. Yeah. Anything you want to throw out at the board? Have you done? I'll probably get chewed out later for this. I think he has it. Yes, okay.
I
Okay,
would like to wish all you guys a Merry Christmas on that. And a Happy New Year.
good. And Mrs. Russell, what about you? Anything?
I just want to thank the families for coming to our music program last night. It was amazing and it was packed and no parking and it was fantastic. So I appreciate everybody showing up for the kids.
Super duper. And what's new in the world of special ed? Anything you?
Well, we just finished census, which is completing all the paperwork that you have to have completed in order to be able to claim students, in order for the government to give you funding. And so we have a lot of hardworking teachers that got all their work done, and I always make cookies for them getting all their work done. And so I've been baking every night, and I have to rebake something I baked horribly last night. So I told them today I'm not bringing it in today.
Did you replace the sugar with the salt?
No, I've never made lemon bars before, and that I make whatever they want. And I didn't realize you can't cook it really until that. Anyways, I overcooked. And now we're being monitored for focus monitoring for special ed with ODE, where they pull 30 files and we go through it. So we're spending days with case managers going through our files and just looking at our stuff and figuring out we're learning a lot of good stuff and we will just continue improvement. So a lot of hard work is happening.
Mr. Ewing, how was the quiche at the law conference? Yeah, good. Great answer.
Not enough bacon.
And there was no meat.
Never enough bacon.
It was tofu.
All right, we'll move on to our superintendent, Mr. Zuki.
So yesterday I got the opportunity to meet with 4 of our state representatives and one of our state senators over in Roseburg and Douglas ESD. We had a superintendent forum, and we're coming up on the short session, so there's only going to be maybe 30-some days for them to meet, and they were pretty clear that they have one topic on their agenda, and that's going to be some reform measures for Senate Bill 110. There are some of the unintended consequences that they're seeing around the state. That's going to be both parties' big action. And so they don't have much time. There's not a lot of other stuff that probably is going to get generated or dealt with. So most of the issues that we want to talk about for education or anything in the state is probably going to wait till 2025 when we come in for the long session. But this is the first time I've had an opportunity like that where they'll all come in the same room and give us FaceTime. And I think their willingness to do that was a good sign. And I can see the listening, there's plenty of interaction between the group and them. So I felt very good in terms of being heard and that they're listening to what education is trying to say and how we're trying to advocate. It was very clear in the room, there's concern about facilities for schools in Oregon, as we're just finishing talking about ourselves here, and then funding formulas are going to have to be revisited if it's going to continue. So, especially after the strike in Portland, we're going to be dealing with having to pay higher wages and not being able to afford as many people unless our slice of the pie in education gets bigger. So the state school fund is going to have to be altered in how we see the revenues for that if we're going to continue without taking a lot of cuts over the next 25 to 10 years. So if they got to hear that, I was pleased to meet with them. That would have been Representatives Osborne, Boyce, Goodwin, and our person Boomer Wright, and then Senator David Brock Smith was also there. Reached out per instruction to the Charter Advisory Council. Savannah did indicate she was going to send me an email. I haven't heard yet. I know she's a busy person also, so I don't have an update. You had requested what has been their action and their initiatives for the past couple of months. Where are they going? What's their sort of intended opportunities? And we'll have to probably wait till January to hear what it is. In the same light, remember that the Charter Advisory Council had asked the board what the board wants done, what you want from them. So you each group asking the other basically the same question. And I sense a little bit of a stalemate, but we'll see what Savannah reports, and I'll bring it back to you in January. We mentioned that the next board meeting in January on the 10th at 3 o'clock will be a work session with Rachel to go over your budget primer.
So regular session to follow at 5:30?
Regular session at 5:30. Yeah. Some of the talk around town and Facebook and some of the phone calls through the offices is about heat. This is the time of year where we start seeing cold weather. That's the first time we start to experience where we have any problems, either mechanically or otherwise. At an operational level, we really strive to maintain a consistent temperature for both buildings. And by maintaining that, some people are going to be colder, some people are going to be warmer. I tend to run hot. I walk in our buildings, I start sweating. Other people are wearing an extra layer. When we have a breakage, something mechanical not working in these heating systems, we know about it. Our vendors for this come out of Eugene and Salem McMinnville. So we just have them in town. And I was describing this to one of you the other day, that our buildings are sitting at 70 years old. Our heating systems are fairly old. And in that time, the number of people who have come through, worked on, fixed, repaired, replaced parts of the heating system, it's pretty well cobbled together at this point. And we can always make it work and keep it going, but it isn't the same system that probably was installed initially. And the expertise of how to run boilers is certainly not a common field anymore. And so we see the system struggle, and we feel like we're constantly abandoning it, because to repair it is probably a bond project. It's a couple $1 million to change out heating in a school. So it isn't just going to happen. It's infrastructure. That's
Is it
not.
saturated steam system?
Yeah, it's steam
Low
boiler.
pressure, 15 PSI.
Not sure about the PSI part, but yeah, pushing steam through to the end. We received a TAP grant, Technical Assistance Program. And one of the TAP grants we got was to have a heating, cooling assessment of our buildings. And we're getting that scheduled, that the phone calls are in, we're talking to the engineer architect to do that. That report should give us information on what can you do. You're not likely going to get several $1 million just dropped in your lap to go make full-blown total overhaul replacement. So what can you do with this? We know we're going to keep trying to band-aid it. We're going to keep trying to keep things warm enough. There are days when something is broken and parts of the building are cold, and we know right away we work to fix it. But for the long term, if we can't just replace the entire system for several $1 million, what can we do? And we think right now, part of the answer might be mini splits and just going area by area, classroom by classroom. And if we can figure out a way that $50,000 every year, our budget is towards this type of work, how many years will it take us installing mini splits? And so this technical assistance grant, helping us design what parts of the building to do first, what areas to do, what types of systems to put in. Are there alternatives other than mini splits that we should be thinking about to help us figure out what we're not aware of and trying to correct a problem within the limited budget that we're going to have to deal with. We won't go just to come and fix everything at once. And so if we have to spend the next 5 years, a little amount of time working through the project, how do we go about that in the most effective way and maximize our money for the outcome that we get? So this is the time of year, you're probably getting phone calls. It's always the first cold day is usually when we discover what broke. Because when you turn them off in the spring and the summer, you don't need to use them. And then you have to fire them up in the quarter months. There's always been something somewhere. And when you fix it, the next piece down the line fails and breaks, and it's a constant chase. It's a constant band-aiding. We don't make the classrooms cold on purpose. We try to maintain a consistent temperature, and when we're maintaining it, some will be a little hot, some will be a little cool, but we're keeping it at a level that we want it to at least be predictable when you walk in, that you should be able to get your education or provide it depending on your position in the building. So you're probably getting calls. That's sort of the synopsis of the issue. It is a problem because the system keeps breaking on us. We keep having to fix it. So if we're not happy with it, that's the reality of the case. Any question, Carrie? Or?
Put on an ugly sweater.
Oh. I'm sweating.
Yeah, no, my question is about, not emergencies, but when this happens, do the classrooms have the option of using a space heater, like an oil radiator space heaters?
We put some space heaters in some spaces. Sometimes they're too small for the size of a room.
Right. I think the radiator style are probably the most efficient for classroom size.
Principals can make a command decision too and move them to a different part of the building. I mean, and that's happened. Kids will go down to the Brave Center if they have to make a change. And so there's thinking, there's opportunity. People are not trying to just create cold environments. That's not our objective. When they happen, we're actively trying to fix them. And it's frustrating for all of us.
I'm sorry. go ahead.
Oh, good, Mike.
Is there a timeframe for this assessment?
The TAP grant, we would have to use them in a year. Where Michael has made the call into Solderstrom Architect to get somebody out to do that. And I don't know how fast it'll work. I don't know how long it takes them to write the report. I think if they're experts in the area, it should be a fairly efficient process. And their job is to report to us and give us a report of their findings based on what they see and what they know about current options.
So findings in our current system and recommendations for.
How to fix it, correct it, change it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to predict what the recommendations are. I'm going to guess that they're probably going to say get mini splits, but I reserve the right to be 100% wrong.
What do you do about big spaces though? I mean, your big spaces aren't going to be heated by mini splits. Do you continue to use the boiler system and block off venting so that it just goes
I'm
to?
waiting to hear what they say about it, and maybe that's what it is. I don't know. We have 2 boilers, and we run them on diesel, and it's a big monster effort. And steam fitters and pipe fitters and people who do boilers, that's not active college programming in very many places anymore.
For what it's worth, part of my job was a commissioned inspector. So I've been working with boilers for 30 years.
So you know how to fix them.
Whatever I can do to help, I'll
I appreciate that. Well, thank you. No.
For the record, they can use mini splits for big spaces. They just use,
Larger ones?
yeah, they kind of daisy chain and they have larger heads for some too. They can do like gym spaces for 4 or 6 of them.
Nice. Good to know.
Visited with the 2 building principals, and the intention is that for your February meeting, we're going to have our first report with some of the academic data. We've had fall maps tested. We will be, or soon to be in January, completing the winter. So you'll have a fall report, winter report. At that point, teachers can make comparisons, observe trends, see what's happening with students, and the principals will be able to give some report about what we're noticing. One of your goals for me for this year is to see some academic growth and to have some measurable numbers to show what that is. So we'll get our first report and looking at the February meeting with that.
February from September to February.
Probably September to January, so that they'll look at, because then in February, they'll see what all that data was, put it together, and they'll have another round in the spring. We've even got data going back the last couple of years, especially at Highland. So at the student level, the teachers can be much more drilled in, dialed in on what a student is and isn't doing at the performance level. We'll keep it at more of a 10,000 foot view for the report.
And maps is in January, you said?
Fall, winter, spring. So if some classes haven't done their winter benchmark yet, they'll do it in January and we come back in the break. Several of you had some questions that we thought would be good for bringing up. Bonnie, you were asking earlier about the drug dogs. We made a recent announcement and we're advising our students, our staff, everybody who's in the buildings that we will be using the drug dogs to go through our facilities to hopefully not find any illegal narcotics, but to be searching for those things. And we will not be telling people the dates or the times. The principals and the officers will be the only people who know those dates and times. And we're going to use a procedure of having the classrooms just keep working, but stay put. And since the dogs only are able to really work about 20 minutes, when the drug dogs come and go through their scheduled places, after about 20 minutes, it should be pretty low impact on things happening. When I was in Central Lynn as a principal for 8 years, we did this monthly. And very early on, saw a lot of activity. And after that, it really changed a lot of behavior, which was to the benefit. We didn't see a lot of the illegal items at school. And I think the random, unknown opportunity that the drug dog was going to show up changed a lot of behavior patterns. And hopefully we won't have too many behavior patterns change, but if they're here, we can change them.
John, is that going to be both at the elementary school and the high school?
Yeah, both buildings will be subject to that. And we have, right now, the first one I'm hearing about, they want to bring in 2 dogs. So we're covering twice as much area. 1 dog can normally still work about 20 minutes before they're just flat tired. And so they will kind of keep track of the parts of the building that they access. They won't always go to the same spaces. The intention is not to target any individual, but to search our spaces, which we can do. So our lockers and our classrooms, and they will not be actively searching any students or any staff members. It will strictly be our own facilities.
Are they doing it as a courtesy or are they doing?
No, it's good exercise and practice for them, keeps their animals in shape. So it's a good partnership. If we have a scheduled date and time and they get called out on an emergency, we play second fiddle. And so we may not get it, we'll just have to wait for the next opportunity. But yeah, they have to practice their dogs regularly to keep their dogs in shape for this. So it's a good opportunity for them to exercise and for us to have some assistance from our law enforcement partners. Carrie Jones, you were asking me about the Monday bomb threats that we were seeing in the newspaper kind of up and down the coast and along I-5. And I'm aware of Brookings School District, Bandon School District, Goose Bay School District, and Central Lynn School District having to take action because of called-in bomb threats on Monday. I know that they had informed the FBI, and the FBI was kind of aware of all these, taking information through their investigation. I don't have any knowledge of what that investigation is or any outcomes of it, but we do know the FBI was involved. We were actively paying attention to our internet and our emails during the day because why was North Bend skipped? Why was Reedsport skipped? What was this? There was places it was hit and miss. So everybody was very aware on the day.
Earlier you said called in, so I just wanted to clarify. They were emailed.
Yeah, these were emails this time. A couple months ago when it was up and down the I-5, it was calling. Someone must have been driving and calling offices. This time it was emails. So the mechanisms change. It's still a swatting event. And it causes chaos for law enforcement partners as they go from place to place trying to verify that there's no threat. So does that help with your question?
Yeah.
About that or anything else?
We have a plan, right? I mean, if it's done here, we evacuate or what do we do?
We're going to be having, if we get a bomb threat here, our course of action is evacuation. We've had recent training in both buildings from Officer Keenan Walker for lockdown procedures, but part of that is evacuation and hold, and lockdown is the key word. Those days we're going to be locked down, sheltered in place, the lights out. That's something dramatic's going on, and we don't want anybody going anywhere. We're locked down and we're closed up. With the last swatting episode that went up and down I-5, the superintendents and the county sheriff and some of the state police, we realized that we needed to have a common vocabulary. And so the training that the buildings just got was on common vocabulary, so that if a school district calls in 911 and explains we are in lockdown, the sheriff understands the same vision of what lockdown is. The police in every school district all has the same language. So if the police call us and say, go into lockdown, we know what they need. So from the spring squatting to now, we've at least come up with common vocabulary. One of the pieces is evacuate, and that would be for fires, bombs, and gases, things we have to get people out of the building. So training for all that. Bonnie, you asked, yeah, that was part of your question too. So other questions off of that? If not, I will conclude. That's a lot.
Any questions for John?
Thank you.
Okay, consent agenda. Everybody got a chance to look at it? Let's move.
General motion for consent.
We can just all do it in one vote anyway. So I entertain a motion for,
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda, items A and B as written.
second. Been moved by Carrie O and seconded by Bonnie Brewer to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed? Thank you.
I'm gonna take a break.
Okay, action item A.
So when you had your September, I believe, work session, you met with Vince Adams and he was helping design school board operating agreements for the school year and school board superintendent operating agreements. Those were drafted, edited, they've been sent back and forth for feedback, and you're in receipt now of the final product. So this is action item A and B, but if there's any questions or needs, we can continue to revisit it if we're ready to accept them. I don't know that it requires a formal action, but I think a formal action is a showing of support for the documents the way that they're prepared. So it certainly does not hurt anything.
Did everybody get a chance to look at that? Carrie, did you get a chance to look at the final draft for the?
Yeah.
I think I'm in agreement with John. I think we should take a board vote to accept it, and show that we're all on board. Entertain a motion to accept them both.
I make a motion to accept action items 13, A and B and C.
No, just, oh, are we doing C? As well? Is that the program is?
Yeah, we're just doing,
A and B.
you said, you want to say that?
Just A and B, right? Correction, Bonnie?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, just accept that to A
I
and
would
B.
second
Been moved by Bonnie Brewer, seconded by Carrie O, that we accept action items through 13 A and B, the operating agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you.
Okay. This is your last month policy, unless you decide to carry any items over. So first of all, congratulations. This was 12 straight months of policy review, but you, at the end of this project, will have reviewed, updated.
It's just getting good, Jerry.
And
I know, it's not right there.
Just go home and give his dog his bill. They all do.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
You got Merry Christmas. Josh was 40, you got to leave too. So. Yeah, this is your last month, so unless you carry any particular item over, this is the conclusion. Every policy needed or currently part of our district has been reviewed, updated to legal standard, deleted when it wasn't necessary. So first of all, congratulations. Has been a lot of work. We're pretty familiar with our format of review. I've got several of them here that I will bring up that we'll need to have some brief discussion on. I guess to expedite this process maybe a little bit, if you would let me know which number items you need pulled, and we'll just go identify those first, and then we'll go back and talk about them. So.
First of all, do you have any?
Yes, I have number 8. I'll talk about number 13, 17, 18, 19. I got a bunch.
Hold on a second.
They're all on one page though.
Just have to divide it between. We don't get them numbered when we get the packet, so we have to sort of collate.
Yeah, I would read out the numbers.
So when we get our packet, we don't have it numbered.
You know what? I'm reading off the agenda.
And you're reading off the agenda, so just go slow, we'll get it justified.
Okay.
Okay, so you want an 8?
Number 8 is news releases, KVCA. I'm gonna give some comment there.
Okay.
Number 17 is KGBB. That one requires some board discussion. You're gonna have to talk about that a little bit. I made some copies if you don't have your hard copy with you. 18 and 19, KGC. You have to pick one, and I'll explain why. So KGC, number 18 and 19. Number 28.
Slow down.
Is KJB signs and banners.
Oh, I see, it's called something else.
Yeah, KJB signs and banners. And then finally, 32 and 33, we have to pick one of the two. It's KL. And I'll explain that. So those are ones that I'll review with you, and I've got listed to pull.
Did you say 13?
13 is community use of school facilities. I know
Did you want to talk about that?
I know that one of you did, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I would bulk KG, so.
I was aware of
And the
that.
AR.
So, Carrie, we'll go ahead again, number 13, you said. What was the other one?
Let me find it over here. 13 and the corresponding AR.
Gotcha, okay. Mr. Jones, did you have any to pull?
No.
No. Bonnie?
No.
Oh. Jack? Okay. Bonnie, okay. So let's start at the top.
Hold on just a second, John. I'm just, so again, it just makes it a little hard when this one is numbered and this one is not.
Okay.
But I think I had a question about KGF. Asking about the Chromebooks and then commercial advertising. There's 2 there that are proposed. We have to choose there. And that's commercial advertising is
KJ.
25 and 26.
Yeah, I see it.
So.
You said 25 and 26.
So 21, 25, 26.
Yep. Thank
And there's
you.
a couple of, public complaints you've already got, right?
32 and 33, yeah.
Okay. you've got
25,
those.
26 are written in the book, but
Okay.
it's good on my note here. Yeah, you're right.
And I think that's it.
We had 3 pairs that we needed to pick between this month, which was unusual. We haven't run across that very much. Okay, so starting at the top, number 8, KBCA, news releases. I recommend no adoption there. That's an optional policy, and staying true to form. Just adding policy when I think we have our people making the right decisions and we can interpret what we need. So when a policy is optional, I don't recommend that we adopt it. So on number 8, KUCA, I would just recommend no action. It's proposed, and I don't think we need to have it. Carrie Oldright, you on number 13, KG.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that one. Do you want me to talk about it at all?
Yeah, this is your chance.
So it kind of came to light that we have a bunch of different community uses, and there's nothing sort of baked into the policy about how organizations are established. And so you have organizations taking in money, and one of the requirements that I would suggest, and I've reached out to the policy rewrite director, Leslie Fisher, and I haven't heard back yet, is perhaps requiring an EIN number. So if you're a 501c3, if you're a basic business, everybody has an EIN number, and you have that to demonstrate that the money you're taking in and managing is at least routed properly.
For taxes and stuff.
For taxes. And the other thing would be looking at the AR and we could probably do that in the AR. That might be one of the places to do it. So we're still talking about it, and I'm waiting to hear back from Leslie. And once I hear back from her, I will sort of figure out what to do about that one.
So remember ARs, I have the ability to rewrite at any point. If we want to look at particular parts of requirements for getting EINs or having something that the entity has to have, we can put that in the AR at any time without it, as long as I have a clear direction from the board what the expectation is.
I also think KG is just really poorly written. It seemed like it could be a lot more cohesive, and they didn't make really any proposals to it. It was just kind of left as is for the most part.
Can we carry it over to the next one?
Yeah, I would like to hold it so we can take a look at it.
That was 13, Carrie.
That's 13, yeah.
We good?
Mm-hmm.
17, Jack, you were talking about this, I think, in between the sessions. And if you don't have a copy of it, I'd like you to read the top of this policy, highlighted yellow. There's a requirement that if the school board is going to prohibit guns, concealed handguns, firearms on property, that you adopt a policy about that. Currently, if you do not adopt a policy prohibiting firearms, then people with concealed carry licenses are allowed to operate within their right here. Your policy talks about the superintendent having authority for people to possess weapons for courses, programs, activities. But if there's just going to be a blanket prohibition, then this policy has to be adopted, and it would require action. So your proposal from OSBA would be this. It is not required unless the intention is to completely, as a blanket statement, prohibit all firearms except for law enforcement. So I think there needs to be a discussion about what the path is there, and either accept this proposal and adopt this policy or not. Would that make sense?
So if we adopt a policy, then firearms of any kind except law enforcement are prohibited.
Completely.
Is a statement on a wall saying a gun-free zone, is that required?
Yeah, it's down the box text there. It says that this will clearly post visible signs, all normal points of entry. And
Yeah, I feel we need to stay away from this. Because guys that have got concealed weapons have been vetted so heavily. that,
What are those vetting processes?
You know, oh, it's run through the state and the feds and everybody else. Then you have to go take a class. There's a lot of hoops you gotta jump through in order to get it, even get a concealed weapons permit. That, trust me, when I go to a restaurant and there's a gentleman sitting there with a pistol on his side, I feel a whole lot safer.
What's the age at which one can carry?
I think it's 21.
It's 21.
21.
Yeah.
So the likelihood of having a student who has a concealed
Oh,
weapon
no.
is very
You would not have a student. Plus, this old man would probably bring him by the neck if he took it to school. Look, the guys here that, yeah. My own personal opinion is, I think every adult in the school that works there should be able to carry a firearm if they wish. Shouldn't be forced upon. If you want to carry, like Sherry Wall and the library should have something sitting there in the corner, because you never know, with our resource officer, he may just go down. So then who stands in the way of our students and our teachers? Nobody. Time the police get up here, it's already over with.
And this discussion is going around throughout the state, because of this policy, because of the new law.
Well, the bad part, or one of the bad parts there, well, it's all bad, but you have to publish it on your school so they know when they come up there that they can't do, well, if you have someone that really wants to, inflict damage like they've done in other schools, you read that and go, this will be a cakewalk. Comes into school and goes, yeah, I think this is a really bad idea.
Yeah, there's very clear two schools of thought on this.
Yeah.
So that's why this board has to make a decision about this policy. Because it's vetted under the law, and districts have the right to create this policy, but if they do, they have to create the policy and the standards therein.
So are we pulling it?
You want another month with it? Would you like any material prepared or opportunity to have any report provided on this?
You're offering? Absolutely.
I mean, should I bring in the SRO? Should I bring in?
I want all the data. I want all the information.
You say all, I'm not gonna, what your threshold is.
I don't know. You tell me.
Okay.
I don't see the reason why we're gonna wait another month. What more data do you need?
Okay, so if you're all gonna vote for, concealed carry in our schools and I'll vote no, then you have the quorum. You have the, that's,
Well, is
neither
any
here
of
nor
that
there, so you
information
don't have
gonna
to-
change your mind?
It might. I don't know what that data is gonna show
I don't know.
us, or what that information
Data there is
is.
carry. I'll tell you what I do know about my concealed carry. I'll put on the record, I have a concealed carry license in the state of Oregon. Every 4 years, I have to report to the Douglas County Sheriff and re-identify myself. Because I work in the school and I give my fingerprints, and I'm background checked every year, I know that I'm pretty heavily vetted, to kind of follow Jack's language there.
Are you vetted through any sort of
State
mental
police.
health provision?
It's not required. It's not
Part
required.
of the yes, no questions are, and it's a self-admission.
Right.
Part of the process.
Right.
To acknowledge that. Punishable, if I'm lying, I'm lying to the sheriff about my mental capacity. Part of his vetting in determining my fitness to have one of these or not. We could bring in Officer Walker or some of the officers, look at what I think the opinion is about that. I've talked casually, this is anecdotal, to police officers who will tell me that when they pull me over, and I've been pulled over, and I have to show my driver's license, I also show my CCL, all I get is a thank you. because acknowledging who I am to them is an expectation in taking that course. And then they're not worried about, do I have a gun, as much as they know I do, and we're all on the same page. And that simple admission is I guess is a peace of mind. What does that mean to us in schools is the big issue, because
It's not a restaurant. It's not a, you know, a general public space. It's a school where literally millions of children around this country carry devastating consequences of murders happening in buildings. And whether you say it's a good guy or a bad guy with a gun, I don't think at a certain level, kids really, you know, understand or comprehend that to a certain nuance. And so, you know, I don't know. I think it's more complex than just good guys carry guns or good gals carry guns. So, you know.
Well, to that end, bad guys carry guns too. And I think, and I don't know statistically, but it seems to me that a lot of these people who want to get a gun with ill intentions can get them. And they show up at a place where it says gun-free zone.
I think you could probably describe maybe a handful of incidences around countries where a good guy with a gun actually stopped somebody. Like it's happened maybe, I mean, how many times?
Maybe more than you think.
I don't think so. I don't think it happens.
I think, you know,
because just because you carry a gun, how much training do you have to have?
Right.
Who are you going to shoot in the process? Like,
And here's my worry. If I was in the building and was carrying a gun, if there was an incident going on, I was listening to Keenan Walker the other day explain to the teachers, I apologize in advance. My job when I come in a shooting situation is to get through you where the threat is and stop the threat. And if anybody is in there looking like any type of potential threat, that he's going to act very aggressively towards them to immediately stop that threat. So in a school, when officers will be on absolute high gear, full speed, doing everything that they can, anybody who is not part of that team in that training is seen as a threat. And I don't want any of my staff being helpful and then being seen as a problem.
and they just end up as collateral.
So I have a very mixed opinion about this because I have a concealed carry license and I have a gun outside of school settings.
So are you required to take training?
I wish you'd pack it in school, huh?
I don't because of the very reason I described, but that's a personal choice. The training that I think I have to do is pretty minimal. I hear about what police officers do, how they train regularly. I don't train regularly, I train casually.
So in a high intensity situation,
Yeah, no, I'm
any guy who just happens to pass some like provisional measures is going to be what? I mean.
And I don't know who they are, Carrie. Some train a lot, some train a little, some pass the test because it's something that is an objective to do, but also it provides me a level of protection. And in terms of I'm known, I'm vetted, and if I'm pulled over in a situation, I'm not running to that as a threat.
You didn't
I don't train.
go through the licensing to carry in schools.
Right, and that was never my intent.
Schools.
And that situation scares me because in a school setting, when those guys are running through there, they've got a job to do. And if I'm in the way, or if I'm carrying a weapon, I'm probably going to be put down quickly, and they're going to continue to clear the building. And that's a level of training that my teaching staff, I don't believe is as prepared for as those officers. And I don't believe I'm as prepared for as those officers. And I'm still going to carry my CCL, and I'm still going to do that outside of school setting. So I have a very mixed feeling on this. But I worry that when it's that necessary.
Well, maybe we should have, carry this over to next month and have our resource officer come and talk to the board about that.
I would love that.
Well, and then who else? Because
And also-
you're seeing data.
So
What do you want?
schools where there's been an incident, because there's no reason to carry a gun, Jack, as far as I can tell what you're saying. Like, there's no reason for a good guy to carry a gun into a school unless there's a bad guy to stop, right? Okay, so what I want to know is, out of all of the schools in the country that have had open carry allowed, or concealed carry, allowed instances that have had a violent event, like, has a good guy stopped bad guy? I mean, there must be. I mean, we're talking how many hundreds of events do we have every year?
Did you read on down through here and see what you have to stick on your building if we adopted this policy?
A sign?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I mean, how does a sign make any difference to anybody in any of
It
this?
notifies persons of ill will that there are no guns allowed on that property.
So you think
To
the
me,
threat of a
that's just an
sign?
open
So that
invitation
says
for
that-
somebody to go in there, and it's happened. We've
So-
seen it.
So what you're asking is for our teachers to carry?
No.
No, it's up to
Who
them.
who else is in the building?
We're
that's
asking to
gonna-
keep,
who
we're
else-
asking to keep the sign off the
No,
building.
I understand, but think about what you're saying. Do you
No, I am
understand?
thinking about what I'm saying.
Don't yell at me.
I'm
I'm
not
asking you
yelling. I am
to
thinking
ask.
about what I'm saying.
I'm asking you,
You
if,
either-
I understand what you're saying, Bob. There's a sign on the wall that says, there are no guns in this building.
And
So
if you accept that, that's what has to be put up there.
that's
my point.
fine. But, okay, so if there
To me, it's not that.
if there isn't a sign, is anybody gonna think about this?
No,
Or are we
you're
just
right.
gonna,
If there
like,
isn't a
if
sign-
there isn't a sign,
I've thought about
who
it,
is
Carrie,
who is the person in the
I'm not gonna
building
change
with
my
the,
mind.
with the carrot?
That's an unknown. They won't know then, will they?
No, do your kids get to know? Does anybody get to know who carries? And then also, like,
John and Jerry can know.
could they?
They don't have the right to know.
They don't have the
No,
right
it
to know.
doesn't-
Nobody has the right to know. So what I'm saying is that what you're telling me is that there will be firearms in a space with children where the probability of that person saving the day is pretty low. And I'm putting my kid in this school. I'm the only one here who has.
Wait a minute, I have grandkids
So
here.
I'm a parent. I'm a parent.
Grandkids.
I make the decisions. I understand you have grandkids, but I'm the parent here. And so my kid is gonna be in a school where there's firearms. I mean, maybe I'm in the absolute minority here.
It's not that they're in their desk or something, they're on their person. So what is your child doing, touching the teacher's
I'm not, it's not about whether or not my kid knows that.
Well, that's what you just said.
I think the complexity of the issue is laid out, and these are the two clear sides. If you hold, and I bring back material, what I'm seeing for information, what are some statistics or some data about the posting of the signs, about gun-free zones, or the absence of signs? What are some of the data about people where concealed carry is allowed in schools versus not allowed in the schools? Is there data about numbers of incidents, types of incidents? What is any data about citizens stopping an active threat versus not?
Does a sign, is a sign a surefire way of making sure your active shooter says, oh, I'm not gonna go in there because I don't know?
That'll be some of the directions of the research that I think I've heard from the room so far. If I missed any possible, and I'll work with Keenan on this and Chief Carter, and I mean, he can call the Douglas County Sheriff and see if he's got anything to help with those who are immediate. If that would be the type of report that the board would like to hear, I could do that next month. I'm not prepared to talk about it tonight, outside of anecdote.
I can give you one personal incident that in my background, I was able to talk to Kip Tinkle at McLaren, and Kip told me.
Before or after?
After. Kip told me that he knew there wouldn't be anybody at that school at Thurston with a gun that would stop him. And that was an interview I did with Kip after this at McLaren. So.
I respect Carrie's opinion. She's the one who has kids here. And I get that. But we're the board.
9 times out of 10, a human, even though you have a concealed carry, after teaching lots and lots and lots of classes, I don't care if you have a concealed carry. There are some people that can take a human life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That, they'll shoot to scare them. I failed a lady because she didn't plan on killing anybody. She just wanted to shoot at him and scare him to protect herself, give her an avenue of escape. So she didn't get a CC.
I don't know, I guess I think there are real life consequences either way. I just think it's a bigger issue than just, is it, do we advance then to open carry in schools? Can we do that? Why not? Why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we carry our weapons in school? I mean, I don't know. Let's do it. Let's have it all.
Unless you're going to carry a specific holster for your weapon, it's open carry is, I could disarm you real easily just from training and years of training. If you don't have a specialty weapon, they'll lock in the trigger mechanism or have a hammer lock. I can relieve you of your weapon real quick. So
you might be able to, but I guess my question is, again, what disallows open carry in schools?
What I'm trying to keep here is keep the signs off of the buildings that said, this is a gun-free zone. It's kind of like, I'll put it this way. Okay, you stop at a restaurant, it's a biker's bar. There's a sign outside that says, if you're not part of this thing, you're gonna get your clock clean when you walk through them doors. Okay, so you go, well, I'm not gonna go in there. Take the sign away. Guess what? You walk in there and you get your ass cleaned. That's the part I'm talking about. These people look for gun-free zones, and these are crazy people. Look for gun-free zones, and that's who they go after. It's proven. Every school, everybody that's been hit has got a gun-free zone on it.
Do you have that data?
And
do you have that data?
I've seen it on the news.
Well, that's not data, that's anecdote.
Go ahead, all right. I think we probably discussed this.
yeah, John, if you would just ask Chief Carter if he could come up with some information through FBI or NCIS and see what we can do. Just otherwise, we
I don't know if we know how this is going to go, right? We know that I am going to still continue to think it's a fairly complex conversation, and then I'm going to be outvoted, and then we'll have concealed carry available in our buildings, and we won't have to put a plaque up. And
I wonder if there's a third option here too.
what is it? I'm open.
And maybe there's some research on the law. The law says that if you're going to prohibit firearms, that this is policy you put in and you need to have signage. And maybe we need to have a policy similar that is prohibiting firearms, but without the signage component.
I think that's probably pretty well established
I mean,
at
let me,
legal level. Like, I think that that's probably where,
I can get a hold of Spencer and see if there is a third version of this, because, so I'll bring that in with any data and report to the next meeting. That if the intent is simply about not posting the fact that we are in one condition or another condition about carry, not carry, and somebody has to stop and think, but we maintain a policy where we enforce that we want to see a safe environment for our students. We'll be asking what the third option might be.
Can we conduct a survey of the parents of the students that are here and see how they feel? Because I respect Carrie's opinion and her position. I have no children here. So it's easy for me to claim something. But, you know, there's only 600 kids, right? Is there some, you know, if the parents of the kids decide that it's something that we shouldn't do or should do,
well,
then I would think they would have a higher hand and more skin in the game than I. But as a school board member, I think it's the right thing to do is get rid of these signs.
I think that this is a public meeting, right? This is something that hopefully will generate some conversation in the community in the next month. I don't necessarily think a survey is required because it's a small town and we're all going to talk, right? So if there's an opinion about it, we're going to hear about it. But I don't know that our teachers have had a chance to understand this. It's one of their stakeholders. I want to know, how do these teachers feel about it? You know, I mean, you're right. How do parents feel about it? How do students feel about it? It's a big decision. And I mean, you know, I could probably guess what the majority of the community would say. You know, but my process is about thinking through, like the whole, you know, I don't know. I'm not, and that's not to say, I have people in my family who carry. I'm not, you know.
Well, that's.
But I think it's a bigger issue in the school than in the general community. And so we can pull it and get that information,
I will stay receptive for the next week and a half, 2 weeks. If there's other pieces of data that you think, oh, hey, John, you should look at this or try to find information about this, please email me. That way I have your thought captured in writing what I'm trying to come up with. I'll shoot it back out to the other 4 so that if there's fair knowledge of, hey, someone, board member had a question or had an idea about more data, and
will you also confer with your administrators too?
yeah,
And
I'm
ask them what they think, because I think there are more stakeholders here than
teachers and staff written down here.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of just sort of like, hey, what do you think of this policy?
Yeah, I can get feedback from our staff at large. I'll just do 2 staff meetings. I'll say, if you want to come in and discuss this, the board would like to hear some teacher anecdote.
Maybe a survey of schools who have made a decision about this in our local.
OSB might be able to help with that. I'm not super confident.
Specifically Douglas and maybe South Coast, maybe Florence. Yeah, just ask your soup group what's going on in their schools.
Changed. They're calling, okay. That thing, we got the data. Please, in the next week, if something pops up, aha moment, email me and I'll try to add that to the list of what I'm working on. Okay, so we had to talk about that. We ready to go on 18 and 19? 18 and 19 are basically the same policy, but our job is to choose one. I'm going to recommend number 18, version 1 is selected. Just some simpler language. It's quick clarity of the policy. And that's going to be the theme going through. I think all the 1 versions were my preference. No, I'm wrong. KJ was number 2. So on 18 and 19, prohibiting tobacco products, version 1 is the recommendation that I have for you.
KJB?
KJC and GBK.
KJ,
C.
I'm sorry,
KGC.
GB. Back up, there's another version 1, version 2. Update and propose, so we keep them both, or, yeah. Public conduct on district property, we missed one.
No, that's 16,
Right, I'm saying we missed it.
but nobody picked it to review.
You have to pick one. It's
Yeah,
a,
we need to, number 1 was a no, number 2 was a yes.
okay, so no on 15.
So that would be 15 no and 16 yes.
Okay, thank you.
I wrote them, I see my tabs here, I got my tabs, but I did not get it transferred over to my board packet here. So 15 no, 16 yes. Okay, number 25 and number 26 is our next picket.
21, did we do 21?
Version 1 was a no, version 2 was the yes.
Which number?
Version 1,
Of which number?
25 KJ.
I asked for 21.
Oh, 21. Missed it. Authorized use of district equipment.
Yeah, KJF. I would assume that this covers the Chromebooks, which is probably the biggest public use equipment that we have. And then there's this AR that goes with it. I don't think that's the agreement that you use. This isn't the agreement you use for Chromebooks.
No.
So is that was my question. Like, this would seem to cover Chromebooks, and I just don't know if it jives with our Chromebook policy.
And
Or our Chromebook, not policy, but use.
our technology use has other policy, was it students in J, back in J.
Okay, there's a specific,
Yeah, the
Okay.
proper use of technology
Okay.
and equipment, yeah. So
and then
this would be
the loan agreement is in there too.
Which agreement?
The loan agreement, where's the loan agreement for Chromebooks?
The
AR.
The AR.
There is an OR back in J, okay, no, that's fine. You can move on.
Okay, so go in. Okay, so 25, 26 then?
No, 23, 24 has a one. Oh, they proposed to lead on 23, sorry.
25, 26, KJ, version 1, no on that one, commercial advertising. No. And again, version 2, in this case, a little bit more clarity.
You're talking 25 and 26?
Yes, please.
Okay, they both have version 1 on.
Version 1, yeah, but 26 is actually version 2.
Version 2, okay. That's what I assumed.
Yeah.
And that's the one you want to go with.
Yes. It covers everything that was in version 1 and with some clarity, matches up with the AR a little bit nicer. 32 and 33 KL.
28.
Or 28. Yes, yeah, well, 28. 28 was an optional one, signs and banners. I don't think adding more policy, we have things covered other places, so I would recommend no action on 28.
Is that the one with signs and banners, advertising?
The optional policy, yeah. So the classic one is your,
Coke machine?
yeah, Coke machine, but you have the sign on the bottom of the scoreboard, Coke. I don't think we need a policy on it, and I think we can handle it if that's kind of gone away more than anything, but.
What's gone away?
The Coke sponsorship, the Pepsi sponsorship, that was the common thing.
Corporate sponsorship in high schools at this level is probably not going to be.
We don't see it much anymore.
And most of our sponsorships are all local, right?
Yeah. And Coke and Pepsi used to do it because there was a lot of money. They would donate the scoreboard because they were making a mint selling the product, and when we stopped being able to sell it, they lost money, and so we lost all our scoreboards. I was really how that.
Really?
That was what all the signs and banners what was about. But anyway, I don't think it's optional. We don't need it. We can handle the rest of it just fine with our other policies that we have. So I recommend no action on 28. Now 32, 33. I'm trying to move too quick. Version 2 is recommended. The version 1 is the delete, and I do not recommend version 3.
Give us a second.
Yep.
So what are the nuances between the two?
Version 2 is all encompassing, and so you don't have to have the AR with it. And the start to finish, you can read it and understand all the steps, the procedures, the elements, the timelines.
Does it include, that we have a complaint form, so what do you call that in this?
Our complaint form would have to follow the policy, so we'll have to double check that any of these changes in here are still reflected in the complaint form,
Does not require an AR.
because it'll be all encompassing. So when a parent says, I want to file a complaint, you hand them this policy, the piece of information they need is here.
Version 2.
Version 2, yes. Version 3, no. Number 1 is recommended delete. And that is all that I have to comment on.
Okay. Any community comments that have come in since we started?
You want to take action on the parts of number 3 that you take action on, and a couple holds and yeah, we reviewed all that policy, but we haven't had an action on any of them. And I think I noted 2 holds and several selections to be made.
We had more than 1 hold.
I have 13 and 17 on your agenda.
Pardon?
13 and 17 on the agenda, I have marked as hold.
Okay.
More information pending.
Yeah, and more information coming for both of those. Number 8, I do not recommend. Number 28, I do not recommend. 15 was a no because 16 was a yes. 18 was a yes with 19 is a no. 25 was a no, 26 was a yes. 32 was a yes, and 33 was a no. That was my recommendations using the agenda.
So I'll entertain a motion number 3, or action is C, excuse me. Everybody mark them down so they know.
Okay, John, could you run through those one more time?
I propose the following action item for you, Mr. Jones. I would suggest taking action to follow the proposed list of policy rewrites for Part C as printed, 1 through 7. And take no action on number 8. And continue the pattern of following the proposed recommendations on the agenda 9 through 12. And again, 14 through 14. To take no action on 15, to accept the proposal on 16, to accept the proposal on 18 and take no action on 19, to take the recommendation on 20 through 24, take no action on 25, accept the recommendation on 26, 27, take no action on 28, accept the recommendation on 29 through 32, take no action on 33, and accept the recommendation on 34 through 43 as my suggestion.
Well, what was your recommendation on 17?
Hold it, and we're gonna bring that back, and 13's gonna come back.
Do I hear affirmative on the motion that John described?
You need a second on that.
I need a motion.
A motion, okay.
So you have to repeat it, just make a motion on John's.
I make a motion to accept what John Spenske suggested on the
And a second.
number 13, action item, section C.
Then move second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, John, for doing that.
Thanks, John, for doing that.
The last one. It'll be simple after this. We got a timely piece of mail. Everybody take a big inhale. We got a bunch of policy recommendations from OSBA, about a half dozen, a dozen of them. But I'm gonna give you a month off before I give them to you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Not every 4 months,
Oh.
not every 4 months, they send us the batch sheet. I think it was about 10.
These are new
Yeah,
policies.
but I'm not gonna do the all of January. We'll take a month off.
That's page.
In January the 10th. So that's when it starts at 3.
Okay, no community comments, board member comments. Bob,
No, I'm good.
Jack,
I'm good.
Bonnie,
I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Bonnie. Same to you.
Yes.
Kale. Well, you're thinking I'll follow suit with Bonnie and wish everybody Merry Christmas.
And a happy Hanukkah.
Yeah. Rachel Agnes, good luck to you in all your endeavors. Future agenda is January 10th, monthly school board meeting at 5:30 and work session at what time?
3 o'clock.
3. Thank you. January 24th through the 26th, the OACOA OASE Winter Conference. John will be attending. And after hearing nothing else, we're adjourned. Sorry, I didn't give you a chance.
Are we just making sure